Welcome, everyone, to the 12th episode of the Die, Laugh, Love podcast. I appreciate everyone showing up today, Sunday, February 16th, to join in on the fun that we're about to have today. And I do want to emphasize the fun because there is a point to this episode. There is a point to the time that we are spending together. And I want to tell you why. Because personally, I have had one hell of a week. I've had one hell of a week. And I want to actually talk about that. I brought up, being tough to be an American right now. I don't want to even mention the politics because the tough part about my week had nothing to do with what was going on nationally, on the national stage, current events, anything like that. I want to tell you what was tough about my week. Now, I think a lot of folks are going to be able to relate to this, but bear with me if you happen to be a unicorn that doesn't suffer from what I'm about to mention. And before I get much further into this, I do want to say that it is my intention, as always, to bring everybody here love, connection to spirit, clarity in their life. Make sure that you walk into time here with low expectations and a high sense of humor. Now, here's what was tough about my week. If you've been on prior episodes, you might have heard me talk before about dreams. So I have an incredible dream life. I have an incredible amount of experiences, spirits, angels, fairies, all types of spirits, ancestors that come to me in my dreams. And I am a believer that there are two types of dreams that humans can have. We have what I call washing machine dreams, where you go to sleep, you have a dream, and you're going to recycle the contents of your day. And then there will be spirit visitation dreams. Most oftentimes, people are having visitations from ancestors, from their beloved dead, and those are actual visitations. Those aren't your mind making anything up. But I want to talk to you about a dream that I had because I'm pretty good at requesting dreams. I'm pretty good at right before I go to bed, light a tea light, say a prayer, ask for a particular type of dream, ask for guidance, ask for something to come through to help me. And I have been helped incredibly by that process. This past week, though, I asked for a particular type of dream. I asked for a dream where I could be entertained. Not something big, not something meaningful. I was like, I just want to have a dream where I go and have fun, like a little vacation. I want to go have fun. I'm in the middle of winter. There's a lot of stuff going on. Why can't I go have a dream where I'm having fun? Let me tell you about the dream I had, though. So, the dream is broken up into three different parts. The first part of the dream where I live in Vermont. I'm right on the Connecticut River. The Connecticut River is what separates Vermont and New Hampshire. I was born on the Connecticut River, lived on the Connecticut River my whole life. I love it. The first part of my dream was going to this place that was a campsite next to the river. And it was a campsite. It was a beautiful summer day. There was a picnic table. It was just the most perfect campsite on the river. And there were two people there. There were two women sitting at the picnic table. And in my dream, I thought I was there to provide them with readings, to do what I do professionally, give readings all the time. And in my dream, I thought I was there to give these two women readings. And that's a weird part of my dream world where I will meet people and I will give readings in my dreams and do the thing that I do in the waking world, in the dream world. And the women were pretty clear that that's not what I was there for. And I was pretty insistent that that's what I was there for. And then the dream shifted. So I get plopped out of the campsite And I go to the next town over, Lancaster, New Hampshire, where there's a little theater. And in that theater, there was a comedy festival going on. There was a comedy festival going on. There was a set of comedians, one after the other, and that was the premise of what was happening at the theater. And I know that they've had stand-up comics there before, but not really a comedy festival where they'll have one after the other, one after the other. And in that particular part of the dream, I thought I had to MC the dream. I thought I had to get on stage and organize it and speak to people. And that's what I do as part of my work, get in front of audiences and do my thing as a presenter. But I thought that I had to orchestrate it. I thought I had to be on stage and MC it. I was plopped out of the dream. I was taken out of that part of my dream. And then I was brought over to a next town where there is a great big grand hotel resort spa. And I was at that hotel resort and spa. And at that hotel resort and spa, I thought it was my duty to be a, a bag boy, concierge, or somebody moving luggage. And I've never done that in my life, never worked at a hotel in my life, never moved luggage in my life at all. But in that part of my dream, I was helping people that were at the hotel move their luggage. And I woke up and I was really perplexed by that dream. Didn't know what it meant, but it was one of those spirit dreams. It wasn't just a washing machine dream. So I'm spending the day perplexed by it, trying to peel it apart, trying to get the message from it. And I was pretty sad with what I determined. So in that dream, I had three opportunities to have fun. I had the opportunity to go camping. I had the opportunity to be part of a comedy festival. I had the opportunity to go to a resort hotel and spa. And I don't lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is when you know you're dreaming and you can participate and make choices. I don't lucid dream, but I will make choices. I will do things in my dream. And in that dream, in all three spots where I should have been having fun and relaxing, every single time I was in a scene, I thought I had to go to work. I thought I had to serve somebody. I thought I had to do something. And it pains me to say that I might not know how to have fun. I've been an entrepreneur since 2013, and I cannot remember the last time. I don't think since 2013 I've had a week off. I don't think that I've ever been off. Prior to being an entrepreneur, even as a child, my parents really instilled in me that value to work hard. And I think a lot of us can appreciate that because we do live in a world where very little is going to fall into our laps. We do have to work hard. We do have to participate in this world. We do have to make something of ourselves. Now, my parents, both the youngest kids of two farming families, both hardworking people, instilled those values in me. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. I consider public education to be a significant part of this problem because I go into education and I stand in a classroom with an authority figure and I have to excel and make marks. I think that so many of us, myself included, do everything that we can to be the best we can for the people that are in our life. Now, every single one of us are going to wear labels. Like I have labels. I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a professional psychic medium, and I have been taught, and I also want to be the best at what I do. And I think so many of us, and it looks like there's mostly women here, can have that program instilled into us. We have that part of us that can be the people pleaser. We want to make the best for the people that we love. And I think that there's a certain part of us that we're inherently born into the world with. We want to make the lives of our loved ones as good as they can be. But I do think that there's a significant amount of programming that we get along the way. And I just saw Karen pop up and say, absolutely, you deserve to have fun. Karen, thank you for that. I know I deserve to have fun. Everybody deserves to have fun. One of my core tenets, one of my core beliefs, and a lot of people will hear this from me, is something that I call vitamin joy, that the world we live in will hand us difficulty, problems, trauma, pain, turmoil, and we have to actively seek out joy as a vitamin to compensate for all of that. I am a big believer in that. I am such a believer in seeking out vitamin joy. And I'm also somebody who thinks they know how to have fun. But that dream significantly impacted me because I realized that I'm not sure I do know how to have fun. And I knew that at that time, that was going to be the core part of this episode here, because I'm almost positive that every single person on this episode and every single person that will listen to this after will be caught up in this programming that they want to be the best they can for all of the people in their life. Now, a lot of that and where people pleasing comes from, I'm a big, big believer in this because I'm a people pleaser myself. People pleasing doesn't necessarily come from love. Oftentimes, people pleasing comes from fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of people leaving us. So there's a part of us that wants to seek the approval of everybody around us to keep them close so we don't end up alone. That is a significant problem for so many people in this modern world. I knew that that was going to be the essence of this episode and this time with us together because of the spirits that have been with me in terms of the messages that they want to share with folks. So, part of this process as an online spirit gallery, I am going to bring forth spirits, and those spirits are going to have some wisdom based on the lives that they led and the people that they were and what they want to share with us. Because here's something for everybody to consider. I always lean into the analogy that what separates us from the spirit world is a one-way mirror like we would see in a cop show, where we're on the side of the suspects, pretty oblivious to what's going on over there. But they're on the side of the cops where they can see us, they can feel us, they can know us. And if we take that analogy a step further, we're their movie. And another analogy to consider, this is a temporary life that we're living. We're sort of on vacation here. I'm a big believer that when we die, we go home. How many of our loved ones have passed away, gone home? They're watching us do that one way mirror. They're watching us on vacation being miserable, feeling like we need to chase the carrot of approval. I will say, though, we do live in a material world. We live in a physical world. We do have to work. We do have to wash the dishes. We do have to clean the house. We do have to do all of those things to make the world go round. But how many of us are losing our lives to all of that and not knowing how to have enough fun and not knowing how to have enough play? I think that that's a significant lesson that so many of us have to lean into. So, the collaborative part of this, all right, I want to talk to you about how this is going to work from here on out because I'm going to start mentioning people and who they are. Everybody here is on mute. So, I want you to do your best to unmute yourself if you feel like this spirit is for you. Okay. I want you to unmute yourself and it might not be for you, but if you feel like who I'm describing is your person, I want you to unmute yourself and you're going to help me figure out if it's for you or for the next person or what have you. So part of my process is every Sunday when I host these, I'll finish these and I'll produce them and I'll get them online and do all of that. And I'll start to feel the next week Last week, I really didn't feel it because I hadn't had that dream yet. I really was like, okay, whatever this episode is going to be, it'll end up coming to me. But I had a person with me. So again, here's where you need to hear me out, okay? Because I have a rock and roller with me. I have a rock and roller with me. So I have somebody who passed away too young. This is a man. His name might start with a J. I get Jack. I'm not sure if Jack is anything, and I'm not great with names. I do believe his mom is still in this world, but this is somebody who is devoted to music, somebody who lost their life living fast, boldly, brought a lot of light to the world, brought a lot of light to the world. So, anybody here lose anybody that was a musician, somebody that played music, somebody that would have perhaps not worked as hard as their people might have wanted them to. And here's that impression, work hard, get that 40-hour a week job, do all of that. But I'm not sure that this person did that. This person might have been like the starving artist. So if anybody here has lost a musician, somebody like that might not necessarily need to be your son, but somebody else's son. I want you to come forth with that. And if you've unmuted yourself, feel free to speak up.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm not sure the part that you said the mother's still living, that wouldn't be accurate, but um, my husband's brother was a musician and passed away, and he was a welder by trade. He never went to college. None of the boys did. I'm probably giving too much information, but my husband passed away first, very young, and then Patrick, the musician, passed away a few years ago. But he was always doing gigs, devoted all of his life, and wasted, not wasted, but in quotes, people thought, oh boy, another guitar, another experience with the gig, always kind of short on money, but doing what he loved to do, and everybody loved him. And when they had a big memorial in June, and we live in a small town, and I think everybody showed up for that.
Did you say, and it's interesting because when I hear the names, right, Jack, I might have just been picking up the last end of the Patrick, like the
Yeah,
CK at the end of that name.
yeah.
Okay.
Or
So
they
it
call
might,
it, yeah,
they called him Pat.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That one syllable word. Okay. So Elizabeth, thank you for that. If there's nobody else that can connect with this, I'm gonna run with that. Okay. So can I ask you, did Pat leave a woman here that's important to him?
Yes.
Okay. So oftentimes when, say, a son leaves his mother here, and there's that connection, the son will pay attention to the mom, be around the mom, dump a lot of love into that mom. Okay. I want to also ask you, did Pat and your husband kind of look alike? Were
Mhm.
they,
Very similar. And
well, you
my
can
son,
tell that they were brothers?
yeah, and my youngest son looks a lot like Patrick.
Okay. I also want to ask, did Pat leave recorded music behind? Are there recordings of his music or videos or anything like that?
Yeah, and the biggest part of that was this woman that you said that, that he would have left behind, that loved him very much. He was a musician, and so he had some music and things like that. And so in a case, there were some pieces that he had written. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So Elizabeth, I want to I want to ask you a couple of things here. You said, sorry, did Pat die first? Go to the world of spirit first, and then your
My husband died first, and then
husband
Pat.
died first.
Yeah.
So here I am. doing what I do, and I want to connect with you, and I want to connect with everybody, and I want to bridge this connection. A part of me, the intellectual part of me, goes, well, should I be connecting to Elizabeth's husband? Wouldn't that be the thing that just made her heart soar? That's where I want to be the best that I can be. It's an interesting thing. Can I ask you, did your husband walk into the world of spirit with more pain and trauma than Pat?
Yes.
Okay. Here's something that I need to tell you, and this is why I'm picking up on that. Because from my experience, when we move into the world of spirit, what happens is that we go through a life review, we take a look at our life, but there's also a degree of healing that we go through. Now, when somebody goes through a when somebody has a life full of trauma and pain, and when somebody passes away from a death that's full of like incredible pain, it takes them a while to kind of go through their healing process. If you take somebody who had a very peaceful life and somebody who had a very peaceful passing, from my experience, they're up on their feet faster than somebody who didn't. And there's something that I recently experienced that I've been really perplexed by. Now, I don't have a group of mediums that I can go to. I don't really have very many mediums in this world that I trust that I can go to and ask questions. But I recently just did a live performance where I connected with a woman's brother. And the woman's brother, I was talking to her and the brother, and she just wasn't kind of getting it. And he, from the world of spirit, got angry. And I had to like dial it back a little bit because I'm in front of a crowd of people and I'm like getting angry at the woman. I'm like, this isn't me. This is your brother. He's angry. And that didn't make sense to me. But I found out that he had a head injury. He had like a left brain stroke. He had a head injury. And that was the second time that I had channeled somebody who'd had a significant like stroke head injury where they got angry. Like I could feel them, like their anger. So I was perplexed at how that death or that injury would have adjusted their spirit or their consciousness as it carries on in the world of spirit. So what I'm saying to you, Elizabeth, is that I believe, oh, I believe that part of the reason why Pat would be here first is that your husband, I think, is still going through that healing process, still moving through that healing in terms of just the amount of time it takes in terms of trauma and pain. I also do get the impression that whatever energy he has, he's going to give it to the kids that are here. Okay. Like as soon as they kind of get on their feet, they go to work and they're going to lend energy. Okay. Can I ask you, do you have a kid, Elizabeth, that would have played with Legos, like
Hmm.
stacked
Yeah.
Legos together?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I would want to tell you is that I believe your husband would be really with that child right now. Okay. Just in terms of the amount of stress or turmoil or whatever's going on for that kid, that whatever energy your husband has is going to be with that child. But let's talk about Pat. I really want to talk about losing oneself with air quotes, to our art in making the world a better place. So that's the point of this conversation, is that Pat would know to come forth and talk about music, talk about losing oneself to art. I recently, last year, started making pottery at a local studio school, and I cannot believe how much I'm in love with that process. I have a really dear friend, Maria, who I talk to about all my strange dreams all the time. And I go to her with this dream where I go to work and I go to work and I go to work. And she's so heartfelt. She asked me this question that was really difficult, and I'm going to present it to everybody here. She asked me, when was the last time I felt free? When was the last time you felt free? And son of a bitch, I tell you, I had a really hard time answering that question because I cannot remember the last time I felt free. The last time I felt free. She's like, even as a kid on the playground, even as a kid on the playground swinging, can you remember that? And I had to tell her about my experience as a child. When I was a little boy, all I wanted to do was play with girls. I didn't want to do the boy thing. And my mom, thought that was just the worst thing in the world and got with the teachers and was like trying to get the teachers to get me to go play with the boys. And I'm like, I just want to hang out with the girls. I don't want to play with the boys. So even in my childhood, I had a hard time feeling free. So I'm going to present that to everybody here. Can you remember the last time that you felt free? Now, Pat playing music, living boldly, right? So we can look at short lives, perhaps like Pat lived, and go, it's a shame that he would have lived such a short amount of time. But is it? Because what do you want to do? Do you want to live, 80, 90 years feeling trapped? Or do you want to live 30 or 40 years feeling free? These are big questions that we have to ask ourselves. And I think that part of the human experience is making sure that we live in a material world, do what we can and do what we have to do, but also find the time to enjoy the beauty of creation as much as we can. I also want to ask Elizabeth, are you a big cook? You a big cook? Like, do you cook food?
No, I wish I did.
You wish you did.
Yeah,
Okay. Tell me why. Tell me why. Do you remember having Pat over for dinner?
yeah. Um, yeah, that's a funny story. When I first got married to my husband, I wanted this idea of a big family, everybody to come over, and it just didn't work out that way. It didn't materialize the way. So as a very young woman, I sort of backed out of that. And I just didn't, I kind of lost the desire because I sort of had that dream. I had that idea that that was how life was going to be, that we were going to be hosting things. And my mom always did, my grandmother always did. So I just sort of said, no, maybe that's not, you know, we don't have that kind of a family. So no.
It's fascinating because what I'm getting, I'm looking at you and what I'm feeling is I'm feeling like walking into a home and just loving what I'm smelling. And this is why I'm asking, like, are you somebody who cooks? Like when you walk into a home, you can smell dinner cooking or food cooking, and it just makes you feel like, oh, and then you're telling me that you don't cook. Okay. Is there any reason why Pat would go over to your house and like what he smelled? Did you burn incense? Did you ever have like anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, Brian used to love to cook, so he was always cooking. And then I always have candles, but that's not so much a food scent, but I'm always burning candles, always.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Uh, Elizabeth, do you have a tie-dye t-shirt?
Yeah, I do. We brought my son home in tie-dye from the hospital. It was so goofy. Nobody does that. We did that.
Okay, I love that. So I'm seeing the tie dye, and I'm a kid of the '90s, which was like the second '60s. I was like a Grateful Dead kid, a little grunge kid from the '90s, and I like my fair share of tie dye. I've made tie dye before. I love that color, and I think that's something. There's something to be said for the hippie era. There's something to be said for the freedom and the play. And a lot of that can get poo-pooed. A lot of that you know, a lot of that freedom can get poo-pooed, but that's really the core of what I'm talking about today, that freedom, because really it's something that we're missing out on. And I do want to illustrate to people why they should do their damnedest to find that sense of freedom, because because remember that part of the life review that I was talking about. When we pass away, we look back on our life, and the worst part of that experience is going, I wish I'd done something else. I wish I had done something else. I wish I wish I had. Regret is really the only suffering that I think that we have in the world of spirit. So, for folks here, your vitamin joy is going to be different than mine. My vitamin joy is certainly going to be different than yours. I'm on a I'm on a project to find my vitamin joy. Now I can tell you when I feel free. I feel free when I'm making pottery. Like I'm making pottery, I'm at the wheel, I'm doing a thing, I'm just creating. And I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how it turns out. I'm just having fun working and playing with my hands. It's literally playing in the mud like a giant kid. It's literally like that. And I love it so much. But I want to tell you about the other time I feel free when I do this stuff. Now, when I first started doing this work, I was trying to be the best that I could be. And, you know, I've had people talk to me like, I saw you when you first started versus like, I just saw you last week. And they're like, I can remember this one woman telling me, she's like, I can tell how much freedom you get and just not giving a damn. And so when I do my thing and I'm in front of people, I don't give a damn. I'm free in that way. So I'm really just operating at my own authenticity. The other thing, Elizabeth, that I would have you do, please do something about your neck. Okay. Like, do you have neck stuff going on?
I could, yeah, I hold tension in my neck for sure. Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
Um, do you, the way you're looking down at your laptop, can I ask you, do you work on a computer?
I'm a teacher, so when I
Okay.
grade things like that and do lesson plans, I do.
Okay. But something I'd have you consider, and it might take some shifting. I'm just getting that there might be a need for ergonomics, you know, like ergonomics where you're like looking at your computer screen versus hunched over it. You know, for anybody that's spending a lot of time at a computer, try to, have your arms at a 90-degree angle. Ergonomics is a real thing. I get that for you. So Elizabeth, I also want to ask you too, and here's a connection to, I believe, your husband. Can I ask you, do you continuously go back to a special spot of yours?
Um, well, I live in the same house, so I don't, and there wasn't really no, I can't think of a spot that I go to all the time.
Okay. Ace, does he have a memorial like a gravestone?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you go there at all
yeah.
on a regular basis?
Um, I have started to lately since my kids moved away. Yeah,
Please do that as often as you need to. Okay. Please do that as often as you need to. Can I ask you, do you remember him liking Coca-Cola at all?
yes,
Okay. The Coca-Cola thing. Was there ever anything added to the Coke, like the Coca-Cola? Was it like a rum and Coke or
no,
anything?
no,
Just a Coca-Cola?
yeah,
Okay. Every time you go, when you go, please just bring a can of Coke, okay? Crack it open and just dump it out on the ground for him,
okay,
okay?
yeah, I will.
And that's something that we have to do in terms of uh, making offerings. You know, our spirits love offerings. Our spirits love the sodas and the beers and the. I go through quite a bit of a maple syrup myself, and I want to have a little bit of fun here with you, Elizabeth. And remember that I don't know you, and this is a husband coming to a wife. Okay. Um, he had a very playful attitude. Your husband, yes. Do you remember him being very playful?
Yes,
Okay. And you got to take this how it is. And he's laughing that I'm having a hard time. I'm saying this. I'm almost a 46-year-old man that still blushes. So remember that when I say this, he's talking to me about like he can't wait to like slap your bum. Okay, and it feels just like walking through the kitchen and slapping your bum. Okay, so I refuse to blush about that. Okay, but that's a message that I want to give you. So there is him coming through a little bit here for you. All right. So the other thing too, he does see how you talk to yourself, apparently. Like you're you're talking to yourself, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Just don't do it in the middle of the grocery store. Talking to yourself in the house is absolutely fine, just not in the middle of the grocery store. Talking to him is even better. All right. And now I'm hearing Def Leppard music, like hair metal music. Is that the stuff that you guys used to listen to?
he loved that, and my youngest son loves it.
Okay. So he is here a little bit. Pat's message of living boldly, living brightly. Of course, we have to balance that with moderation because we want to make our lives as long as possible. We want to be here and leave as much of an impact as much as possible. We don't want to burn out too quickly. We don't want to burn out too quickly. However, if anybody has somebody in their life that did burn out too quickly, remember that there's not necessarily a degree of regret because consider, 30 years of a bold, bright life versus 90 years of feeling like you're in prison. So let's not operate in those prisons that we're given. Let's not chain ourselves with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or even worse, the supposed tos. If you are operating in your life to any degree around the things that you're supposed to do, I want you to touch base with it because you might not necessarily have to do those things. Okay, so make sure that everybody here is carving out a little bit of time in life for that. Now, thank you, Elizabeth. I got to go to the next one
Thank
because
you.
this woman here, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. This woman here is coming through. I want to talk about somebody's friend that they've lost that's like a sister. Okay, I believe that she passed from cancer. She's talking about she's a real hoot. She is larger than life. She is larger than life. There's two things that she's showing me here. And she's really leaning into that idea of a shorter life, boldly lived, brightly lived, versus a long, drawn out, boring life. I'd rather live 40, 50 years of being colorful than 100 years of being black and white. So this is the two things that she loves. She loves being compared to Rose Nylund of the Golden Girls, and she's talking about Thelma and Louise. So I think your friend you would have done drives with her. You would have gone around and driven with her. Anybody here lose a friend that's like Rose Nylund, but Thelma and Louise? And if you're too young to get the Thelma and Louise, you might want to watch that movie. Okay, because that's a good movie. If you're too
Okay.
young to get that, you might want to watch that. Uh, Brandy, you have unmuted yourself. Do you have a friend that's like this?
I did have, yes, my dear friend Kat.
Cat. Okay. I think this is for you. So I'm going to bring you up on Spotlight. Okay. I forgot to do
Okay.
that for Elizabeth. I'm going to bring you up on Spotlight. I'm going to share this time here with you. Um, okay. So the important part about this is carrying on in her memory. Okay, so here's something that I have to ask you, Brandy. Um, were you there like a sister, like her family, uh, more than her family was there for her? Can you say that you were there for her, like the number one? She's saying that like you are her number one,
Yes, she once told me I was her heart person.
her person. Okay, okay, okay. But can you remember like driving like Thelma and Louise and maniacally laughing, just laughing like mad.
Laughing, 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 always laughing with her.
Okay. Here's my gosh. Okay. Brandy, you're not grieving well, Mama. You're not grieving well. You're taking this really hard. You're taking this really hard, and I need you to walk through it and as much as I can ask you to in a healthier way because she's wanting you to know that she's still there. She's still there. She's watching you. She's like, "Come on, kid." Was she a little older than you? A little older?
Kat wasn't, but now the more you talk, the more I wonder if it's my friend Becky who just passed away in December.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, I'm seeing like a do rag, like a bandana or something around the head, like this. That's an indication of like a sickness, like a cancer.
Becky had she had malignant breast cancer that turned into her brain, and yes, I was with her every single day, and I was with her when she passed away on December 27th.
Okay. They she must have been a hoot because I'm getting like the Rose Nylund, the Golden Girls, like
She
full of
was
love, full of optimism, but kind of a nitwit, but like
a
full of
little
love,
bit.
full of laughter, full of laughter. Okay. Um, Interestingly, she's talking to me about recipes that if you can make them, if she had recipes, if there was anything that she liked to eat or make, I'm going to have you make those. Super important because you've got to take care of like her best friend. You've got to take care of her best friend, and that's important because the one thing that I need everybody to get from this is they're with us, they watch us, they feel us. when we take care of ourselves, we have a responsibility for ourselves, even being kind to ourselves. When we're being kind to ourselves, we're being kind to their friend. Okay. She says, interesting. This is so funny. She says, don't turn into Dorothy.
So,
I appreciate Dorothy, but Dorothy out of the Golden Girls was a little a little bitter jaded. Do you know what I mean? A little bitter jaded. So if you
yeah.
don't turn, she'd much rather see you turn into Sophia than Dorothy. Okay,
Okay.
don't get too jaded. Don't get too bitter. And I also have to ask you, don't unduly take weight upon you because there's this energy of like, you did everything you could for me. You did everything you could for me. Don't beat yourself up unnecessarily because I don't want to watch my friend. I don't want to feel my friend beat themselves up when they did everything they could, took time off of work, used vacation time, all of that. Didn't you do that?
I did do that. In fact, and we were in the car a lot together. And one time in New York, we got lost in the Catskills and found a sign that said, "Stay right or die." And she just mentioned that so many times in the years that followed it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Did you have do you have any of her knickknacks? Like
Uh-huh.
any like little things? Like
Yeah.
you have some for little things? Okay.
I have a little bear that's on my mantle.
Little bear. Okay. So now I have to show you something. And I show this to people sometimes, but when I did an event up in Newport, Vermont, a lovely pair of women came up and gave me a gift, and I'm wearing one of those gifts right now. Golden Girl socks.
Those are
I
fabulous.
wear I wear Golden Girl socks. So, the Rosen Island, the Thelma and Louise, okay? I want you to do everything you can to remember that they're with you. They're not there physically with you. So when you go out and have fun, I'm seeing like thrifting and, antique shops and consignment shops, you do that. They're there with you. You're taking care of them by taking care of you. And that's something like I want to drill through your thick skull, Brandy. I want to drill it through your thick skull. Take care of you so you can take care of them because they, just like when they were here, they don't want to see you suffer. And I'm gonna say this to you: you do have some narratives rolling around in your brain that you wouldn't want other people to be carrying around.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can control those. Those don't have to like those don't have to just keep going. If you are blaming yourself for things that you would never want somebody else to blame themselves for, you don't have to. You don't have to. Because it feels, I'll be so bold as to say, it feels like you're lying to yourself. Where that I wish I could have done more when you did everything you can and more. So the truth is, you did everything you could, took time off of work, sacrificed your time, your part of your life to help these people. You gave everything you could to her, and I think that you're caught up in a story that is not accurate. So remember, there's that gratitude. Thank you for taking care of me. Um, oh my gosh, did you hold her? Did you hold her? Like I'm like Brandy, I'm feeling you hold her like a mother would hold a child.
Yeah. Yes, a lot. Especially that last month of her life, she couldn't take care of herself. And so I would hold her while nurses took care of her. And I would just stroke her forehead and let her know it was okay. It was okay to go.
So imagine where she's at now, what she's going through in terms of
Oh, you want to brush Brandy's hair?
this person, this person that took care of her is now in this place of wishing that she could do more. So I need you to just really kind of use your rational mind
Okay.
to take care of the really complicated heart. Talk to the injured heart with your rational mind. tell yourself that you did everything you could. I mean, to feel you hold her, to feel you like I feel you holding me like I'm a child. And when somebody is like passing away and they're going through that, it is perhaps the most vulnerable time of their life, the most vulnerable time of their life. So I'm going to have you sit with this and know that all she wants is you taking care of yourself.
No, I'm
Okay.
Brandy.
I have to ask people that are unmuted to mute themselves because that is unfortunate. We got people that are unmuted, and I don't want to go through everybody here. Okay. Brandy, here's something that I'm going to encourage you to do. I need you to go to a diner.
They were her favorite.
Who's her favorite? Okay. I need you to have a slice of apple pie for her.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. You might want to have an slice of apple pie for her too. Just leave it on the plate. Okay. There is a spiritual practice where a lot of people will take even a bite of what they're eating and put it to the side on their plate and they don't finish it and it's for that person. Okay. So please do that. Please spend time at a diner. Please spend time with her. Now she's giving me the smell of lilacs. Like I'm smelling lilacs. Were lilacs a thing for her?
Mm-hmm. It was
Okay.
her favorite
Favorite.
flower.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to, if you have a place near your home, around your home, where you can plant a lilac bush
I have
for,
one.
you said Becky,
Mm-hmm.
you do. Do you have one for Becky?
I don't have one for her, but I have a lilac bush.
Okay. She's showing me hummingbirds. So hummingbird
Oh,
feeders, hummingbirds, anything to do to bring the hummingbirds in.
okay.
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 she says, don't be Oscar the Grouch. Don't be Oscar the Grouch. Okay. So there's part of you that's kind of grouchy and bitchy. This is the
Oh, yeah.
second. Okay. This is the second time. Okay. Now let's have how do I say, let's carry on in her memory. Now, I'll share with you something. And so I'm a tarot reader, and in tarot, there's a King of Cups. Okay, King of Cups. And the King of Cups card to me is Gomez Adams. So whenever I get the King of Cups, I always see it as Gomez Adams, and people are familiar with Gomez Adams, the King of Love. Very like
Mhm.
taking care of business, but loving Morticia, loving his kids, loving his family, loving his life. I think we can all be like Rose Nyland. Do you know what I mean? I think that we can be. Are we going to go through life like Rose? Are we going to go through life like Dorothy? Maybe a mixture of both, probably. But let's not go full Dorothy. Don't go full Dorothy. Don't go full Oscar the Grouch. Okay? Don't stick your head in the sand so much that you're full Rose. But I think if I had a choice, think about Rose Nyland, the character. Think about Gomez Adams. That's really important right now. I am personally being affected by a lot of what I'm seeing in the news, on social media, and like I can feel I can feel this is a fascinating thing. I've experienced so much trauma in my life. I can feel trauma and what it does to my brain. So when I'm going through social media, I'm like, this is traumatizing me. Like I can feel it doing something to my brain. So I have to balance the need to stay sane and the need to stay informed. And I think so many of us are at that place right now. There's a lot of people delighting in it. While I can't make sense of that, I would speak more to the people that are suffering because the things that we're looking at, the things that we're seeing in the news, the things that we're being exposed to, the people in our lives that are rage posting over and over and over and over and over, they can contribute to a collective sense of trauma. And that can have a deep impact on our brain. Like I was feeling that earlier. I was like, I can feel that like part of my brain, like something's going on where it's not healthy. So imagine if Becky was here right now. And imagine if Becky was like watching all the madness that's around her. Do you think that she would have lost her light? I don't think so.
No, she would have found the positive things. She was, what that woman went through was incredible. And her attitude, she was always saying how blessed she was, how loved she was. Um, she was never bitter or angry.
That is somebody that I want to be like. That's somebody that I want to be like. I think a lot of people have heard this expression, and if not, I think it's something that is important for us all. A lot of people can hear the term comparison is the thief of joy. You know, how many
Mhm.
people here have heard that term? Comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to other people, they can rob you of joy. Absolutely. But I don't think comparison is always the thief of joy. I think when we use it correctly, comparison can be a bringer of joy. And what I mean by that is everybody should take a moment to appreciate the fact they have a roof over their heads. Everybody should take a moment to appreciate the fact that they have food in their cupboard, electricity running through their walls, heat keeping their house warm, their health. You know, we have so much to be grateful for, but we can get inundated with these negative messages over and over and over and over again that we lose gratitude. So that's what I'm talking about. When comparison can be a bringer of joy, that's gratitude.
It makes sense.
You know, there's so like, I mean, look at what's happening to people in Ukraine. Look at what's happening to people in Gaza. Look at what's happened to people in North Carolina that are still without homes and their towns are washed away. You know, so many of us have it so good, but we forget about it. We get so caught up in the misery and the pain of life. Why? Because so many of us are focused on diminishing it. So many of us are focused on making it better. So many of us are trying to make it better for everybody around us that perhaps we forget to have fun. That's a lesson for everybody. So, Brandy, be more like Becky. Okay. Remember that. Okay. So, for me, and a lot of people are familiar with this, I believe the secret to life is what would I tell my kid? You know, I'm gonna turn that on you in a particular way, Brandy. And I want everybody to take this away today. What would Becky do? You know, we can go, what would Jesus do? But like, what would Becky do?
Okay.
Right? Becky would remember that she's blessed. Becky would remember to find the good parts of life. Becky would remember to smile and laugh. So here we have somebody who didn't live a full, long 80, 90 years. But imagine the amount of love and light that she brought while she was here.
Oh my gosh, to so many people. She was a music teacher. And
There's the music connection.
yeah.
So first the music teacher or the musician and then the music teacher. I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. Also, do this for me too. If you ever want to like hear from her and take a page out of my book, go for a drive. Okay? Go for a
Okay.
drive. Go for a drive. I don't know what driving does to put our mind more in a receptive state, but if I ever am like if I need to prime the creative pump, if I need to find an answer to a question or connect more to spirit, I'll go driving. I won't meditate. I won't sit there. I won't do anything like that. I'll go for a drive. And that's always been a very powerful thing for me. I got the name of this podcast because I went on a drive intentionally looking for a fun, unique name for this podcast. And I got the Die Laugh Love podcast. Why? Because we're all going to die, but we have to laugh and love while we're here. And I think that's what Becky would want us all to do.
For sure.
Okay. So thank you for that. I've
Thank
got to
you.
bring somebody else forward. I really appreciate you being here, Brandy. I'm going to take you off spotlight. I'm going to take myself
Thank you.
off spotlight, and we're going to keep going to the next person. Okay. So I have a dad here, and I want to talk to you about this dad because the first thing he shows me, you might not be familiar with this because you might not have seen it when he was working, but I see a hydraulic press. Like I see something coming down, like pressing. And I don't know if he worked with like stamps or something that stamped something. Okay. This is a father who would have brought specifically made time for like summer vacations, going to vacation. It feels like you would have had siblings, feels like you would have had like this is a person who worked hard, like mill work or something to that effect. He would have worked hard. He would have had every excuse in the book to be kind of bitter and jaded and pissed off at life, but he wasn't. He feels very jovial, very laughy. He was a hard worker, but his kids were his number one priority in terms of making sure they knew how to laugh. And summer vacations, going on vacation, feel very, very important. So, anybody here have a dad that would you'd have siblings? You'd had a dad that would have worked hard, and he would have gone to like he would have taken care of you.
My dad took care of us, but I don't associate machine. He was a farmer. He didn't do mill work. So,
He was a farmer.
mhm.
Okay, maybe I don't know the
I don't know
hydraulics
if
of
it's the same one or not,
farming
but
community. Can I ask you, Sarah? I see Jory is like unplugged there,
okay.
unmuted. Can I ask you, Sarah? Is there a connection with peanut butter and jelly?
You like peanut butter.
You like peanut butter.
Yeah, you like peanut butter.
You like peanut butter. Okay. There's something that's funny about this because it feels like he might have made the kids peanut butter and jelly or just taking like visceral joy in a peanut butter and jelly. But Sarah, before I really get connected to you and I get going here, I want to ask you, was every year on summer vacation? Did you go on vacation?
We always went somewhere. They weren't long because he was a farmer. So he only had this certain time in August. But we always went somewhere, did something.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask can I ask you, you sisters, brothers, you and your kid, like the siblings, Hellions, Hellraisers, like
No,
there's
no,
something about firecrackers here.
no, that
Like
wouldn't have been us.
that wouldn't have been you?
No,
Okay. Maybe you don't remember as kids. Like,
no,
like
no, we were not particularly hellraisers in any way. We were bookworms and students. So maybe it's someone else. I don't know.
maybe it's someone else. Okay. Anybody else feeling this? Like hell raising kids,
Mary Ellen
peanut butter
said,
and jelly, hardworking father.
It was my
Uh,
grandfather. Um, we always put peanut butter and jelly out on the Thanksgiving table because it's his favorite. And he always called my youngest kid his little firecracker. And he went on vacations with us every summer.
okay. What did he do for work?
He was a furniture maker.
Mm.
His farm
So
was the house he lived in was Old Mill Farm.
old mill.
Yep, Old Mill Farm.
Okay. All right. So apparently, Brandy, yes, get another one.
My dad worked at the Greenfield Tap and Die.
The Greenfield Tap and Die. Okay. Was he full of love, Mary Ellen?
Yes, he was. And he died
Okay.
far too young.
Okay. So hold on. This might be for you, Mary Ellen, because I'm seeing the stamp, or the tap and die. Okay. Did you have siblings, and did he always make sure to bring you on vacation?
Big time.
Okay. So what's happening here, I think, and Brandy and Mary Ellen, I think that I'm getting like a couple of them coming through at the same time with the same sort of thing. Okay. Mary Ellen, can I ask you, do you remember anything about peanut butter and jelly? Peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah, definitely. My dad would actually make peanut butter cookies like for a snack. And we, of course, a big family, peanut butter and jelly was kind of it.
All right.
You
Thank you,
know,
Brandy. Keep listening. Everybody keep listening. This is for Mary Ellen because of the stamp, the tap, the die. Okay. I'm gonna bring Mary Ellen up on spotlight and we're gonna have this conversation here. Okay. Spotlight. We're gonna. Okay. So Mary Ellen, were you guys little hellraisers? A lot of energy.
Poor boys and myself. Yes. Yes, there
Right.
was.
Okay. Yep. A lot of energy. Okay. Perfect. So Mary Ellen, may I ask, did you speak at his funeral at all?
I didn't because I was 10.
You were 10. Okay. Do you speak in positive ways about him after he's gone? You
All the time.
must all the time. Okay. You know how we talk like a legacy of that way. Okay. Um, I don't know if you were around, but I'm hearing Old Orchard Beach. Do you
Yeah,
remember anything?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
The entire family and my grandparents and aunt and uncle and cousins would go to Old Orchard Beach for a few different reasons because the jetty, the not jetty, the thing that sticks out into the water. The folks that couldn't handle the sun could have their chairs under there in the shade, and the rest of us would be in the sun. So, yeah.
He had every reason, hardworking, he had every reason to be miserable. Do you know what I mean? But he wasn't.
Right.
This is him. He's indicating like he's actually taking pride in the fact that he kept a light, jovial spirit. Now, I'm not sure like what era of life he was in, but let's think about the people that went through the Great Depression, the World Wars, everybody that would have gone through, Vietnam and Korea and all of the tumultuous times. Like right now, we are in a tumultuous time of America. It's tumultuous. And I hate to get political, but there's a Head Start across the river from us, like in the Northeast Kingdom, that doesn't know if it can pay its lease because of the government stuff that's going on right now. So it's real hard for me to find the silver lining in what's going on here. And I think that's important for people to hear that there are Head Starts that are about to close down because of what's going on. So again, I'm going to back up and remember to maintain a sense of joviality, not stare away from it, but to remember to be jovial in the face of it. Because this is something that people don't understand. Every time we yell and scream into the void, every time we carry on, every time we rage post on social media, we become a message to other people. And I have a question for folks. Are people on social media processing their emotions intelligently, or are they contributing to the collective sense of panic? That's my question. And I think that we all have a responsibility with the messages that we put out to the world, because the messages and the words that we put out to the world have an effect. He really wishes that we would understand that. So he would have had, the hard work, farming, tap and die, all of that. That would have like a hard life, 5 kids. You know what I mean? There would have been so much reason for this guy to be jaded and nasty and bitter and all grumpy and all of that, and he wasn't. So this is again somebody who passed away too soon. Now we have 3 people here who passed away too soon. They didn't have full lives. You lost your dad at 10, Mary Ellen. That is incredibly too young. That's incredibly too young. But all of the wisdom that every single one of these characters, these loved ones, are bringing through is that no matter how long of a life we have to do our best to be at peace with what's in front of us and to maintain a positive attitude. Now, I don't want to lean into what's called toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is like you can't feel angry, you can't feel these emotions. I'm going to ask everybody here to lean into, and this is what he says he was skillful at. Okay. Everybody here should understand, in a spiritual, metaphysical sense, the idea of alchemy. So if you can remember ever learning about alchemy or alchemists in school, the alchemists in the Middle Ages were a group of scientists, occultists, chemists, what have you, that were trying to take lead and turn it into gold. They were trying to take a base metal and turn it into gold. Spiritual alchemy is taking the crap we're handed, trying to transform it into something better. This podcast only happens, this podcast only happened because of how everybody responded to the election. Everybody in my world, a lot of people in my world were really upset with what was going on. A lot of people upset. And then I'm like, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to spend once a week doing this, connecting with folks. And in that way, I'm being an alchemist. And that way, I'm trying to contribute in a positive way. Now, here's something that I want to double down on in terms of the message of the musician in the very beginning. A lot of people will feel guilty in doing things for themselves. A lot of people will feel guilty because they want to take care of everybody, of going to take the art class or going for the walk or doing something. If you don't have art classes or art studios near you, please go to your local Walmart or Target and spend $10 on an easel and some watercolors and just create. Nobody has to look at it, nobody has to see it, but I want you to consider creating. Okay, because that is a way for you to process your emotions. That's a way for you to process all of the pain that you might be carrying right now. Okay. Mary Ellen, are you a wee woman? Are you a wee woman? Are you not very tall? Are you vertically challenged?
I am not vertically challenged. However, my mother was.
Okay. Okay. Your mom is vertically challenged. Okay. Um, would your mom have stared a dragon down in the face?
Probably.
Okay. And it's a funny way to say it because I'm seeing, and maybe I think that you might have a little bit of your mom's energy. Okay. Now, 6'7", I'm 6'7". So no matter how tall you are, you get around me, you're going to be vertically challenged. Okay. Like you're going to be a little bit shorter than 6'7". But I see this spunk and this energy in you. It doesn't matter how big the person is, it doesn't matter how tough they are. I see, it's interesting because I can see you going like this to somebody. Like, how dare you? Like a sense of like a fight in you. Your dad appreciates that fight in you, especially when it comes to injustice. Would you say you have a fight in you?
I know I have a fight in me.
Right. And I'm kind of getting lost in here with all the people and everything that I'm talking to. Is it you who just brought up peanut butter cookies?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm seeing, and this might be a different cookie, Mary Ellen. Was there ever like the raspberry centers?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not sure if I'm seeing like the Hershey Kiss in the peanut butter or
Sugar cookies with raspberry in the center.
yes. Okay. Um,
My mom made them, and my dad used to whip up, even he worked through 11 sometimes, and would even make his own sugar cookies when he got home for a snack.
I mean, work until 11 and get home and make sugar cookies. Come on, how much heart? I mean, that is all heart. That is all love. And there's that's something that that person did to, and it fulfilled him. You know what I mean? It didn't drain him. He didn't feel like he was like at an
No, it was an
obligation.
act of love.
It was an act of love, and that act of love sustained us. So these three characters that have been with me, the musician, and then the Rose Island, Thelma and Louise, living large, loving life, and then this dad who had every reason to be like the grump but wasn't. What are the lessons that they want for us right here, right now? Every single one of us, no matter where we're at politically, no matter what's going on in our personal lives, we're all going to be handed bullshit. We're all going to be handed that. And they are an inspiration to us because we have the resources. We have the resources. We live in an era of miracles. Imagine what you could get for $10 at your local Walmart to make your life better. Like that's such an immediate resource for us. Okay, hold on. wow. All right. So I'm being prompted to tell you guys a little bit of a secret about myself. So uh, here's this. You're going to get a little bit of the inside look. So some days when I do this work, it can be really heavy. And I love what I do, feel free when I do it. But I will have days where I give readings where I will be talking to parents that have lost their children. I'll be talking to suicide victims and cancer victims and murder victims. And, if I sit through 5, 6 readings in a row, when I do that, that can impact me significantly. No matter how much I keep a positive attitude and maintain a positive energy around that. So sometimes when I have really hard days, this is what I'll do. I'll go home and I will put on a hoodie. Now I have a big bathrobe that I put on something comforting. I will crawl under a blanket and I will listen to the Sesame Street theme song.
That's beautiful.
And it's the medicine that I need. I want people to think of, I think pretty much a lot of people here can think of that, the, the Golden Girls theme song. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Even a song can turn us. Even a song can be medicine. So just a reminder here for folks that our 5 senses are doorways to our spirit. What we put on our skin, what we listen to, what we see, what we taste, what we smell, our 5 senses, and if we can manipulate them and give ourselves the medicine, we can ease the pain of the spirit. We can affect our mental and emotional health for the well being. Now, if that's true, right? If that's true, if what I watch, like I'll tell you, I didn't really grow up with it, but I love it. I love Three's Company with John Ritter. Love Three's Company with John Ritter. You could watch that on, you could watch that on, oh, I love that. Brandy says Becky made me a playlist that she named The End of a Beautiful Life. That is gorgeous. That's gorgeous. Brandy, if you can, if it's on Spotify or anything, find it and share it here. We've still got a few minutes. Find it and share it in the link so somebody can grab it. If if those things that we expose ourselves to can be a medicine for our soul, we have to remember the things that we expose ourselves to can be a poison to it. They can be a poison to it. The things that we're seeing, even the well-meaning people that we follow on social media. I love that, Karen. Thank you. Even the well-meaning people that we follow on social media can become a poison because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. They don't know how to contribute positively. And I'm not saying shut up. I'm not saying be quiet. I'm not saying don't stand up for your beliefs. I'm saying that there's a fine line between standing up for your beliefs and contributing to the collective noise. And that's something that we all have to figure out how to balance because we are all susceptible to propaganda, programming, and all of the messages that are coming to us all the time. Now, those 3 characters were with us, but I'm feeling somebody else come in, and I thought this was just going to be 3. So you stay with me, Mary Ellen, because um, I'm having somebody here, and I don't know if this is for you, but just bear with me because I'm shifting and I can feel a woman coming in. She's showing me like it was her absolute joy to hang up Christmas ornaments. So there's Christmas ornaments. Like I see the fish hooks. Thank you for sharing that, Brandy. Anybody here, go into the chat, grab that link that Brandy shared. It's got to be a great playlist. So here's a woman that would have had a dear love of Christmas. I'm tasting the sounds. It's almost like when Christmas was over, she was waiting for the next Christmas to come around. Can I ask you, Mary Ellen, is this your mom?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Do you still have the ornaments?
Some of them.
Okay.
I do still have some of them,
Okay.
as do
Here,
my
here's,
children.
I love that. Here's something to consider. Folks that live their lives for others, want to do everything they can for their kids, their husbands, their wives, their people. We still have family and spirit. So one of the things that I would have you do, Mary Ellen, and anybody here that would be able to relate to this is make sure you're hanging those ornaments up. Okay? Make sure that you're celebrating Christmas in that way. Make sure that you're having empathy for our beloved dead, the people that have passed on but are still with us, because they want the best for us. And one of the worst things that I've seen is people who lose their loved ones and then they stop living life. They lose their loved ones and they no longer celebrate Christmas. And their loved ones are there going, celebrate Christmas. You only have a few left. Celebrate life. You only have a few days left. It's just so short. So I know most, if not everybody on this episode, are people of empathy. They can feel other people and they try to make other people feel better. What about the people we've lost to spirit? What do we owe them? If we're gonna stand in that place of making people feel better and doing the best that we can for them, that includes the people that are with us in spirit. So it's interesting. I just gonna ask, Mary Ellen, did you put those up this past year? Did you hang up those ornaments?
I hung up one,
You hung up one.
not all of them. So mom could be a little PO'd.
Or not necessarily PO'd, but
Disappointed.
how much brighter could that Christmas have been?
True.
How much brighter? And now, like, I'm seeing the star on the Christmas tree, like the star on the top of the Christmas tree.
That
You
was
know,
on.
that was on. Okay, good, 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 good. Okay. And interestingly, here, if you don't like something, don't expose yourself to it. So what's fascinating is this: if you don't like sports or football, you don't have to watch it. You don't have to be around it. Feel free to excuse yourself. Why is that message specific to you?
I don't know if it's actually about sports. I think it's may have something to do with, like you were saying, the social media thing and the fact that there are friends of mine that I haven't unfriended them, but I don't follow their posts because I find it too upsetting at this point in time.
Okay.
If it's not a positive thing, I try to be a positive person, and I'm thankful every day that I live in Vermont and not in Massachusetts where I'm from, but I just don't see any point in reading on Facebook or even watching the news for that matter when it's completely negative. Doesn't make me feel better.
That's an important conversation to have. So not necessarily the sports, but the news. If there's something on the TV, we don't want to watch it. Don't feel bad about not watching it. Don't feel bad about not participating in it. I think a lot of people get caught up in the fact that they feel like it's their responsibility to carry the weight of the world and to, like carry the weight of the world and and thereby fix it. Not necessarily. I think it's important for us to realize that we should do what we can with what we have where we're at. Do what we can with what we have where we're at. There are so many people getting lost in the national narrative that they're losing themselves to it, and they're not contributing to their local communities. They're not creating art. They're not remembering music. They're not remembering any of this. Now, it's funny because it feels like this is wild. It feels like your dad, and again, you're going to have to do the math for me on this. It feels like your dad was alive during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So he was in the Second World War.
Okay, so wow. All right. So imagine that. Imagine somebody going through a world war. Imagine somebody going through the Cuban Missile Crisis. Imagine somebody going through that and still maintaining a positive attitude. And so many people are watching the news and addicted to social media, not understanding how it works and how addictive it is and how the dopamine receptors in our brains work. We can all get trapped in that, and that has an impact on us. So I'm in the same boat as you, Mary Ellen. There are people that I just unfollow. Like, you're just rage posting, it's completely negative, you're not contributing anything. The people that are on that side of the fence, they're aware. You know what I mean? They're educated. They're seeing that stuff. They're aware. And I get that there is this sense of, some people have this sense of moral obligation to post these things in a way of trying to educate others. But I'm pretty convinced that when it comes to social media, we're either preaching to the choir or we're preaching to the deaf. Very few people know how to walk a path of non-confrontational conversation.
Yeah.
So everybody keep yourself healthy. Everybody keep yourself sane. And remember, no matter what it is, whether it's television, whether it's your friends, whether it's social media, you are being impacted by what is around you. And this is what I'll say to folks who, when spirit comes through and says, make sure you go hang out with your friends, go have a girls' night or something like that. A girls' night's only gonna be good for you as long as the people you're spending time with aren't harping on their negativity. There are some people that we can get with that all they want to do is complain and complain and complain, and they emphasize it and they make it worse. They're not processing it. They're not coming up with solutions. They just want to bitch and moan. They don't want to build anything. So this is important. Remember, the people we surround ourselves with, the messages we ingest, can have a direct impact on our heart, our mental and emotional well-being. And the inverse of that is true. We, as human beings, will have an impact on those around us. So we do have a responsibility with how we communicate. So think about sharing something beautiful. And I'll tell you, I almost, like, I've had to confront this in myself. I almost feel like I'm doing something wrong by not being outraged all the time. Like, I feel like, well, everybody around me is just yelling and screaming into the void. Is that the thing that we have to do? And I'm not doing that. So there's a little bit of me that's like, am I getting it wrong? I don't think I am. I want to share poetry. I want to share art. I want to share photography. I want to share that. I want to share that. There's plenty of the negative that's happening. And so many people are emphasizing it, thinking they're educating folks. And again, we have to strike a balance between staying informed and staying sane, standing up for our values and standing up for peace, for standing up for peace. So we got to do the things, like Karen said, do the things that are good for our soul and not feel guilty while we're here, not feel guilty while we're doing it. Now, Mary Ellen, I know that it's not summertime, it's wintertime. I want to ask you to make an egg salad. Do you like egg salad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it goes back to a large family. Egg salad was kind of a staple.
Okay. There's something about the taste of it, and I'm really getting the salt, pepper, all of it. Like the salt and the pepper, the egg salad, make it taste like you're in summertime. Okay. So if you like egg salad, while it might not feel like it's a winter thing, it's something that you can taste that can be vitamin joy. Okay. Even on the foods that we eat, especially if we associate them. I mean, most people think of watermelon as a summer fruit. Think about finding some watermelon and eating it in the middle of winter and what that will do to rock you back to summer, to give you a little bit of joy, to bring a little bit of sunlight into us. So, Mary Ellen, I want to also share this with you, please. I don't need I don't need the validation. I don't need the why this message is coming through. I think this message is for everybody. You're not a failure for doing what's right for you. You've made choices over the course of your life where you would have done what's right for you, where you would have put your well-being over the well-being of other people. You have to know that you didn't let anybody down. You haven't failed anybody by doing what's right for you. Okay? There's nobody in this world that loves you that requires you to be a martyr. There's nobody in this world that loves you that requires you to sacrifice your well-being. So just remember, not a failure for doing what's right for you. There's a lot of people in this world that would have had to have made choices in that area, and they would have felt like they would have let other people down. For instance, I have to confront that. I'm not some great political scientist. I'm not rage posting. I'm not sharing all the posts. I'm not doing all of that. I'm doing what I can where I'm at with what I have to make the world a better place as much as I can with the skills, abilities, and tools that I have at my disposal. I think a lot of people need to remember that we can make an impact in this world, even when things might seem scary or tough. So please remember that. Everybody here, remember that. Now, we're going to revisit the musician. I believe every human being is a creative creature. Every human being creates. And I want everybody to call into question this. A lot of people can relate to the term anxiety. Okay. I have a particular opinion about anxiety and maybe a controversial idea as to where it might come from. I think humans are inherently creative. I think that we are inherently meant to imagine and dream and play. And I think that a lot of our collective anxiety can come from the fact that we're not. So if our mind is meant to create and we're meant to create art, but we're not doing that, perhaps anxiety and the like, oh my God, what could go wrong? What could go wrong is the mind creating because it's meant to create. So everybody here, whatever it is, whether it's baking, whether it's knitting, whether it's drawing, sketching, music, art, whatever you can do to create something, please do so because it's great for you. It's great for the world. And don't get caught up in that narrative that you're egotistical or self-centered by sharing your art. I'm going to create pottery. I'm going to take pictures of it. I'm going to share it on my social media because God damn it, I'm proud of it. And I think the world needs to see it. The world needs to be inspired by those types of things. So create your art, sing your songs, write your stories, do whatever it is and share it with the world. Becky, remember to count your blessings. Remember, in the face of all the pains and the terrors of cancer, of world wars, of political and climate upheaval, to do your best to look on the bright side. Comparison can be a bringer of joy. Comparison can be a bringer of joy. And when you feel like the world is too much, look around you, count your blessings. Remember the blessings that you have immediately around you right now. And the dad that worked at the Tap and Die, the one who devoted his life to his loved ones, the one who went through the World War, the one who had every reason, every excuse to be a grump, but somehow, after work, came home and made sugar cookies as an act of love. Everybody that we have spent time with today, they're blessings to us. They are blessings to us, and the wisdom that they carry through are blessings to us, and we must remember that. Even in the darkest hour, we have to remember that there's a little bit of light somewhere, and we can bring that light to the world. So, with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. Episode 12 is drawing to a close. Now, thank you again. Get your vitamin joy in, manage the messages that you're receiving. And I want to let everybody know that this episode was sponsored by yours truly.
Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. If anybody wants a reading, if anybody wants to connect, if anybody wants or needs anything from me, you can find me online at joshsimonds.com, as well as all the prior episodes to this. Thank you, everybody, for bringing your energy today. All my love to you.
Be well and stay safe.
You too. Bye.